Tantor Audio presents Scion of Cyador by L. E. Modesitt, Jr. Narrated by Kirby Heyborne. Part 1. Lorn Alt, Cyad Overcaptain, Mirror Lancers. 1. If Cyador be the paradox of Kandar, and supporting that paradox be indeed the duty of each of the Magi of the quarter, then how must each magus approach that duty so as to support the way to the steps of paradise? One scholar magus might say, support the Emperor of Light, for he is the one who must balance the Mirror Lancers and the Magi against each other, and against the growing might of the merchanter clans, who know but the greed for gold and the pleasures of the moment. A magus who tends the Chaos Towers might declare, take care that the Chaos Towers endure while they may, for without the towers, Cyador is no more than any other land set upon our world. Still another might claim, set forth rules for the Magi, that they may lead all by their example and purity of devotion to chaos and the people who revere it. For all that the Magi descended from those of the rational stars, the ways in which the duty of a magus could be set forth are myriad, and like unto chaos itself, often resembling itself, yet never the same, and always changing. Each magus, from the most to the least devoted, will have a vision of that duty. Some will hold that by increasing their personal mastery of chaos, they will serve Cyador, the Magi, and chaos in the best fashion possible. Others will declare that mastery of chaos must always serve others first, for the magus who places himself before duty will always be corrupted into believing that what is good for him is good for all. Yet neither be right, for a magus who serves only others will fly from one master to another, for each who asks of him becomes a master. A magus who elevates his mastery above all would make all others his servant. Thus a magus must neither be master nor servant, but one who walks the narrow path between. A magus without dedication to chaos will have no soul, and one who worships it blindly, no sense. That dilemma sets forth the true paradox of the Magi, that we must master chaos without being mastered by it. Paradox of Empire. Burn Elf, Magus First. Cyad, 157 AF. 2. Lorn opens the door to the small upper-floor balcony, checking to see that the spring weather remains warm in the late afternoon. With a nod, he closes the door and turns to take in the main room of Ryalth's quarters, the low ebony table, the straight-backed black oak armchair that is Ryalth's favorite, the settee opposite it, and on the other side of the room, the green ceramic brick privacy screen that protects the main door from the inside. To his right is the alcove that contains the circular eating table and two armless chairs. To his left is the narrow archway to the bedchamber, and beyond that, the small bathing chamber. He smiles as he looks at the portrait of Ryalth as a young girl. In it, she wears a high-necked green tunic and a thin golden chain. The floor of the main room displays ancient blue wool carpet with a border of interlocked ropes, surrounding a woven image of a blue-hulled trading ship under full sail, the ill-fated ship once owned by Ryalth's merchanter father, and the one on which her parents had perished. "Are you ready?" calls the red-headed lady who is his consort, as well as the head of the newly ascendant trading house, Ryalor House. Lorn sometimes still has trouble believing that she has incorporated his name into that of the trading concern she has established, even if he had helped her in the years before they were consorted. "Yes, I was checking to see that it was still warm out." He crosses the room and steps into the bedchamber. There he adjusts his saber and the collar emblems on the new Mirror Lancer uniform that Ryalth had arranged to have waiting for him when he had returned from his previous duty station. His efforts in battling the Accursed Forest had destroyed all but one of his Mirror Lancer uniforms, and that one he had worn on the fire wagon trip back to Cyad. Is it? It's very pleasant. He smiles at her as he steps away from the narrow mirror set on a stand against the bedchamber wall. Still, I almost wish that we were not going to my parents' for dinner again. I don't have that many days left before I have to leave for Bile. They were charming the night before last. Ryalth eases past Lorn and before the mirror, touching her short red hair with the silver-backed and tortoise-shell comb. And they don't keep us late. They do understand. That was because it was only them and Jeriel. Vernt and his consort-to-be and Siasert and Myrian will be there tonight. He steps forward and puts his arms around her waist, then kisses the back of her neck. You smell so good. I'm glad you think so. For a moment, she leans her cheek against his. You don't mind being here? In my quarters? They're our quarters, and you're my consort, and I like being here with you. My rooms are so modest compared to your parents' dwelling. Nothing is modest when you're there. Such flattery. Not flattery. Truth, he insists. Truth is in the mind of the speaker, she counters. The mirror reflects what is, and the image is of modest quarters. Lorn laughs. Are you ready? It is not going to rain, is it, O magely one? No, I checked, remember? It will be warm this evening, and I'm not that much of a magus. More than you admit. Lorn does not answer, but hugs her and kisses her neck again. I like walking with you, knowing you can wear your uniform. Some may still think you my mistress, Lorn teases. Not if I wear the blue and green cloak. Lorn laughs. You can wear green if you wish, now that we are consorted. Could not I wear blue without subterfuge? You could, but I like the cream and green better. Lorn recalls a question he has failed to ask. And how would the honored Blue Oil, the merchanter adviser, feel about a lancer wearing blue? You didn't worry about that for years. She smiles. Why now? Because no one knew who we were. Lorn pauses. What of Blue Oil? When Iliot speaks of him, his mouth puckers, as with a sour fruit. Iliot is usually so careful. Since he is the senior enumerator of Ryalor House, that is good. But he didn't conceal his distaste of Blue Oil to me. Not at all. You are my consort, Ryalth points out. What of Blue Oil? Lorn asks again. Blue Oil... I try to avoid him. Is he like Shevelt? Lorn's eyes harden as he recalls the Yryan clan heir he had removed years earlier because of the man's attempts to use his position to force himself on Ryalth. No, she shakes her head. No, Blue Oil is effective at telling the Emperor the problems the merchanters face, but he wishes all to pay him great homage for that effectiveness. He also was one of those who brokered the means for Liatofi's daughter to consort with Vel'Jan. Oh, so, in a way, Vel'Jan owes his position to Blue Oil and the Magi? With some, that pear apple was hard to swallow. He has not bothered you? Ryalth smiles. Save for collecting our Ryalor's scorth. No. 1/20th part of your revenues? She shakes her head. It is called that, but it is but 1 part in 50th the revenues after expenses. She drapes a light cotton cloak over her shoulders, blue with the green and cream border. Best we go. I would not have your parents looking askance at me for delaying their son. They would blame me, Lorn points out, not you. Ryalth shakes her head as she walks from the bedchamber and toward the privacy screen in the outer door. They yet have that black angel cursed magi sense that all is their responsibility and yours, as you are of the Elthage blood. I can't even be responsible for delaying you. Lorn opens his mouth, then closes it as he sees the sparkle in her eyes. I'll hold you responsible, but just when you are. He opens the door for her. I hope so. Once they have descended the stairs, they walk uphill along the 13th way, and then westward on the road of perpetual light, in toward the center of Cyad for the 3 very long blocks before they reach the dwelling where Lorn was raised. "We'll be first," Lorn says. "Because your brother will wish to exert his superior position by later arrival, as will my Ryan's consort? I think Cyad will just wish he weren't coming, but he doesn't wish to offend father." "Not my Ryan?" Ryalth lifts her eyebrows. "Cyad believes consorts are appurtenances." "I am glad you do not believe such." "You would scarce let me," he counters. They laugh in the mild spring air, ignoring the carriages and wagons that pass along the road of perpetual light. Lorn's eyes take in the palace of eternal light to the west, and all the other white granite and sunstone structures that rise in the marvel that is Cyad, the shining city, the city beside which all others pale. The words of one of the verses from the silver-covered book come to mind, the book from Ryalth's heritage she had entrusted to him so many years before. The city, Cyad, lost light like a star, the dream, Cyad, guiding near and far. He smiles to himself. Cyad is indeed a special city. Then he turns his eyes to the dwelling ahead. Jeriel meets Lorn and Ryalth at the door to Lorn's parents' dwelling. The healer wears a green tunic so dark it is almost black, and her black hair is cut short. "You always look so good, Ryalth." She studies her brother. "Did I tell you I like her?" "I believe you have, several times." "You might as well go on up." Jeriel shuts the door and steps around the inside privacy screen. "Mother and I thought we would eat on the upper portico tonight. It is warm, and the breeze is gentle." "We're the first?" Lorn asks. "Except for father and mother." Lorn and Ryalth climbed the 3 flights to the 4th and topmost level of the dwelling in which Lorn was raised. Lorn's mother is waiting at the uppermost landing. "You look wonderful, Ryalth. I like the cloak." "Thank you." The redhead inclines her head. "I did persuade my Ryan and Cyad to come tonight." Nyria raises her eyebrows. "Cyad wanted to know if Vernt would be here. He was pleased to know that Vernt is bringing his consort-to-be. That's Mycella. I do not believe you have met her." "I have not had that pleasure. In fact," Lorn adds dryly, "I had not had the pleasure of knowing he intended to take a consort until the other night when you told me." "He has been seeing her since the turn of fall." Nyria turns, and the 3 walk toward the southwest corner of the upper level, toward the roofed but open-air area, flanked with columns that adjoins the warm-weather dining area. They have barely taken their first steps when the door to the study opens behind them, and the white-haired Cyan emerges. He walks toward them with the barest hint of a shuffle. "Greetings, Lorn, Ryalth. It's been such a long time since I've seen you two." Lorn smiles. Ryalth laughs gently. "You'll have them here every moment, dear, if you aren't careful," cautions Nyria. "Not even an old magist like me could manage that," counters Cyan. "Lorn will be gone again to his station in Bile in less than an 8 day. The 4 walk slowly toward the portico dining area. "The harbor always looks so beautiful from here," Ryalth observes. "You have such a wonderful view." "We are fortunate," answers Nyria. "At times I sit here in the late afternoon and watch the clouds and the ships." "Lorn!" Vernt appears behind them, accompanied by a blonde young woman who is laughing at something. Lorn and Ryalth turn and step toward the 2 recent arrivals. "Lorn, Ryalth, this is Mycella." Vernt smiles at the blonde. "This is my elder brother Lorn and his consort Ryalth. As you can see, Mycella, Lorn is an over-captain in the Mirror Lances, one of the youngest, I would venture, and Ryalth is the head of Ryalor House, one of the newly prominent trading houses in Cyad." Vernt smiles happily. How nice to meet you both. Mycella's smile is not quite simpering. Lorn and Ryalf bow ever so slightly to the white-clad younger woman. Mycella is the daughter of Lector Abramelth, Vernt explains. Jeriel slips by Vernt. Cyad and Myrian are on their way up. She stopped to get something from her old room. You recall my sister Jeriel, Vernt says. You wear green, Mycella says, wide-eyed as she bows to Jeriel. I am a senior healer, and without consort, Jeriel says with a shrug. The green is more appropriate. You do have such an unusual family, Vernt. Mycella giggles slightly. They do so many things. Lorn! Calls Myrian as she appears behind Vernt, who steps back for Cyad and Myrian. Cyad inclines his head to Vernt. I am most glad to see you here. He bows slightly to Vernt's consort-to-be. Greetings, Mycella. Mycella giggles momentarily. Greetings, Cyad. Perhaps we could sit down, now that Cyad and Myrian are here. Nyria gestures to the dining table on the covered upper balcony, set, as always, and as Lorn can recall from his childhood, so that all but Nyria can look downhill and south, directly at the harbor, and to the west and slightly uphill, at the Palace of Eternal Light. Twilight lingers, and the sky remains the purple-maroon that is beginning to fade, but the lamps set in brackets on the columns have already been lit. In the harbor, the white stone piers glimmer above the darkness of the water and before the great western ocean farther to the south. The palace remains an edifice of shimmering white, and light beams from its windows, from the innumerable lamps within its high-ceilinged corridors and halls. Lorn and Ryalf are to be seated across from each other at the southern end of the table, with Nyria at the end between them, and Jeriel to Lorn's left, and Cyad to Ryalf's right. Vernt and Mycella flank Cyan, while Myrian sits between Jeriel and Vernt. Lorn nods at Ryalf. If you don't mind, could we change places? A faint smile crosses Jeriel's face, but vanishes near instantly, as the two consorts trade seats. A blank expression appears on Mycella's face. As soon as Lorn takes the seat that had been Ryalf's, silence settles on the table, and all look to the north end. In the blessing and warmth of chaos, in the prosperity which it engenders, let us give thanks for what we receive. From the north end of the table, the white-haired Cyan speaks clearly, then lifts his head and smiles. It is so good of all of you to be here tonight. The dining table around which the 9 sit is covered with a pale green linen cloth and set with glistening white porcelain plates. Quile, the cook, appears with a large platter that holds fowl breasts covered in a thick cream sauce and sets it before Cyan. Caesia, the head of his parents' household, whose wages had been supplemented for years by Ryalf, secretly at first, follows a covered dish from which steam rises, and with a silver tray holding thin slices of dark sun-nut bread. Lorn takes a sip of the wine, Alafran, and glances at Ryalf, murmuring, You had this sent here. She smiles. It was the least I could do, after all your parents have done. It was most thoughtful, Nyria adds. Lorn's lips curl into a rueful smile. You're not here long, are you, Lorn? Asks Cyad. No, I'm between duty assignments, and I'll be leaving on one day. Where will you be going? Cyad follows up. To head the port detachment in Bio. You'll be the one in charge? Asks Mycella. The head officer? That's what my transfer orders say. Lorn smiles and passes the nut bread to his mother, after taking a slice for himself. The port detachments protect trade and ensure that the tariffs are collected fairly. I imagine it will provide a respite after fighting the barbarians and the Accursed Forest, suggests Cyan, and it is somewhat closer to Cyad. What of the Accursed Forest? asks Vernt. His brow furrows. What exactly do Lancer patrols do there? We ride along the walls to see that no wild creatures escape. We also maintain order and guard the mirror engineers while they repair any walls that the Accursed Forest has damaged. The forest damages walls? Asks the wide-eyed Mycella. Some of the trees that fall across the ward walls are more than 20 cubits thick and nearly as hard as stone. They occasionally damage the wall and the wards that contain the forest creatures. Lorn glances at Cyad. I understand that the forest project is coming along? I believe so, but that is not something that I can do. Cyad shrugs. There are rumors, but your father would know far better than I. Vernt and Lorn glance at the oldest magus. Cyan smiles wryly. I, too, must plead silence, except to say that there is a project, and if it works as it may, Cyad will need far fewer lancers to patrol the Accursed Forest. After a moment of silence, Cyad looks across the table at Ryalf. My Ryan has said that you are head of a trading house. Ryalor House, Ryalf confirms. And you are truly the head of it? Cyad asks. Did you come to that because your parents had no sons? Actually, Cyad, Lorn says smoothly, she created it and built it from a clanless trading room into one that rivals many full houses. She is most skilled, and I was quite fortunate to prevail upon her to be my consort. Oh, Cyad frowns. There are not many lady merchanters who head houses, are there? Asks my Ryan, her eyes twinkling. I know of only one other, Ryalf admits. She is much older. Did she not inherit her position? Asks Jeriel. I believe such, but I do not know for certain. Ryalf's words are cautious. So, Lorn is right, Jeriel says. You're the first woman in generations to head a trading house by your own ability, and perhaps the first to build one. I have had assistants. Those who work for me are good, Ryalf smiles. And Lorn has been a great inspiration. He usually is, adds Cyan, with a dry laugh, even for those who have not wished such inspiration. Father! My Ryan mock protests. Cyan finishes his foul breast before looking at his younger daughter and raising his wide eyebrows. Your brother makes an impact wherever he goes. He always has. Talk to his friends, like Tercel and Detar. Where is Detar these days? Asks Cyad. The last we heard, he was second in command or something at a Cyad, Jeriel answers. He writes occasionally, but he does not write of what he does. He still writes? Lorn asks. He has hopes, Jeriel says. He must be an important officer, offers Mycella. If he is in charge of something, that is. He approaches women like a campaign, Jeriel adds, as if we were to be assaulted and captured. That is difficult. She smiles at Mycella. At least for those who are healers. Lorn looks across the table at my Ryan. How is the garden coming? This year it's much better. Cyad powdered some limestone, and Ryalf had a cartload of stable manure delivered last fall. We still have jars and crocks of things, and I'm hoping that this year will be even better. She is wonderful with the garden, Cyad beams. She coaxes the best vegetables and fruits from the land. I doubt any young magus has a consort so marvelous. And she cooks so well, too. And everything in the house is so neat and clean. I will have to visit you and learn your secrets, Mycella says. I would not wish Vernt to lack for anything. Lorn swallows and takes refuge in another sip of wine as the domestic conversation continues. Ryalf smiles at him gently, taking a sip from her own goblet as well. This time we do have a proper dessert, Nyraya announces, after all have finished what they would eat. The special creamed pear apple tarts. She looks at Lorn. and there are enough for 2 apiece." Lorn feels himself flush slightly in the dim light, hoping the others will not notice, and takes a sip of the alafran. Nyria gestures, and Caisia and Quile appear beside the table to remove the dinner platters and to place a small plate before each of the diners. Her plate and that of Jeriel have but 1 tart. All the others have 2. Lorn waits for all to be served and for Ryalth and his mother to begin before he takes a bite. He nods as he swallows. "They are good." "You've always thought so." "I think I'd best learn the recipe for this dessert," says Ryalth with a laugh. "My cooking is far simpler, but his favorite dessert—" "Keep the cooking simple," suggests Jeriel. "You haven't spoiled him yet. Don't start now." "My own sister," Lorn laments, offering a sad face. "Brush the crumbs from your chin if you wish to look truly sad," Jeriel counters. Lorn laughs. So does Ryalth. In time, the tarts vanish, and the conversation dies away. Lorn nods to his mother, then his father. "I thank you both, and everyone else here for coming. I would that I could stay longer, but I have been traveling for days, and a few nights' sleep, I fear, is not made up for the travels and a long season with the Accursed Forest." "It has been so good to have you and Ryalth here with everyone," Nyria beams. "But we will see you more, won't we?" "You will," Lorn promises, "as we can." He smiles and extends his hand to Ryalth. The redhead stands, then bows to Nyria, then to Cian. "Thank you both so much. I'll come down with you." Jeriel slips away from the table and follows Lorn and Ryalth down from the table. As the 3 walk down the steps to the front door, Jeriel says, "I'm glad you got to meet Mycella." "What do you think of her?" Ryalth asks quietly. "She's perfect for Vernt," Jeriel replies sweetly. Lorn winces. "I thought so too," agrees Ryalth. Both women smile. After they are well clear of Lorn's parents' dwelling and Jeriel has closed the door, Ryalth turns to Lorn. "I like Jeriel." "She likes you. That is most clear." "You noticed that all the outside consorts were placed at first on one side of the table?" Ryalth says as they walk slowly eastward through the still warm evening. "I did what I could," Lorn says. "I know." She reaches out and squeezes his hand. "Mycella didn't understand." "Neither did Cyad. I'm not sure Vernt did. Jeriel did. She smiled when we switched places." "Was your mother displeased?" "I'm not sure. There was no other way to set up the table, not by lineage, but I didn't like it." "I'm glad you're the way you are." Lorn squeezes her hand, and they continue eastward along the road of perpetual light, back toward the quarters that have become his as well as hers. 3. In the late afternoon, just before twilight, the Emperor Tozil Elth Alt Mur and his consort Empress Ryaniel stand on the uppermost balcony of the Palace of Light, 10 tall stories above the gardens. His tall but slender frame seems stooped under the silver robes he has worn to the last audience of the afternoon, and not removed once he has departed the small audience chamber. Ryaniel wears a tunic of vivid green shimmer cloth and flowing trousers of a lighter shade, colors which enhance her mahogany hair and lightly freckled complexion. The warm and moist spring breeze comes from the east, whispering past them and past the fluted bars on the grillwork, with enough force that there is a trilling and humming from the bars, a sound both pleasant and loud enough to foil eavesdroppers, as intended by the builders of the palace some 8 generations previous. While cupridium flowers might have served the same function, the Palace of Light contains no such fripperies, nor any statuary. All lines are clean, elegant, and without decoration, almost totally without even carved inscriptions. To the south and downhill.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?